Hey, Facebook. All right. This is a little video I want to make to just kind of paint a picture for what's possible. Now, I remember years ago when I didn't even know what personal development was. Like, I didn't know about like Tony Robbins, if you could even call that personal, real personal development. But just like going through the motions in life and, kind of just like wanting to fit in, have friends, whatever, go to parties, that kind of thing. And I didn't realize at the time just how empty it was. I mean, I kind of did, because I'd always just like, wake up the next morning feeling empty and like, what is, is this all there is to life? But then over time, I started to get part of groups like Global Information Network and listen to Your Wish Is Your Command. And that was really cool because I started to develop relationships with people that are really into developing ourselves and pushing ourselves and all that. Now, for those who watch my other videos, I joke a lot about how like self-development and personal development is actually just like abuse. It's like not legit, because people will find a way to use it and hide behind it, and they'll grow to a certain point till they have to actually walk through their fears, and then they won't change. But I'm just using this as kind of like an overarching idea for people of really the power of having people near you, ideally in person, but at the very least online, where they're also dedicated to something greater than just chasing a feeling, watching, gossiping, watching Netflix, whatever. If you don't have people around you that are into that, it's like there's this very true statement that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. Your income will be the average of your 5 best friends. And some of you might be thinking, I need some new friends. And if that's the case, yeah, I can show you how to find these people. And you can have a ton of people in your network, but like really the people that you invest your time with, really look at like, is this life-giving? Is this serving me? Like really, in this video, don't just listen to the words I'm saying. Integrate this information and ask yourself, who are the 5 people I'm spending the most time with? Are these people supporting me? Is this expansive? Is this life-giving? Or is this life-draining? Because now that I've been at this for years, but really, especially like locally here in Minneapolis, and in general online, but this is so freaking cool. Because yes, we have friends around here that are into personal development, pushing themselves, aspiring for more, working on finding ways to, create an impact in our community, create new opportunities for people. Like there's a lot of really cool benefits that happen. But the thing that's recently got really exciting for me, this is what's so cool, is looking at what does the next 5 years hold. For example, when Jess and I have kids, who are our kids' friends going to be? What's their peer group going to be? Because we aren't putting our kids in school. But they're going to be socialized. They'll be social. So what types of peer groups are our kids going to have? And the parents. And are there going to be other parents that we trust around our kids? And is it going to be an expansive and growing environment? Or is it just an environment where it's like, oh, yay, the kids are together and blah, 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 and everyone gossips and, whatever like people do when they're hanging out, right? It's like, that's the type of community, an environment that we're building here. We have it online too. And I would encourage you, if there's any bit of you that resonates with this, that wants to be surrounded by inspiring people, people looking to create more, be more, do more, have more, to really take the time now to look at that. And guess what? This is how it starts, with just one relationship. You find that one person, then you find another one person, then you got a group of 3, then you get one more and it's a group of 4, right? But over time that builds. So like we have a meetup here, we have get-togethers, we have every once in a while have people over at our house, and we're gearing up to do a lot more of this because we're moving soon, and that is so freaking important. There's a quote I heard in Gin. I think it was something from Blaine A. Thorne, but it's friends. They multiply your happiness. I'm probably going to butcher the quote, but this is the essence of it. It's like they multiply your happiness and your joy, and they divide your sorrows. And one, happiness, joy, sorrow shouldn't actually really matter. What should matter is your principles. And it doesn't mean you become a freaking robot and you have no emotion. Like, happiness and joy are good as long as the starting point is clear. And sorrow is something to be looked at. But, like, if you understand it in your starting point, it's like, yeah, let's avoid, well, not avoid sorrow, but let's understand what sorrow is, where it comes from, and process it so it doesn't derail people. And that power of having groups in communities, on one level, it's very supportive for you as an individual. But then, guess what? In the future, when change happens, when automation comes in and takes people's jobs, when the issues of the world keep compounding, you're going to have solid people around you if you build now. Right? You're going to have people that you can trust. You're going to build your own economy. You're going to have your own networks of influence if you build and if you have these communities. And I would suggest that the people that are going to be into this now and in the future are people that are interested in self-development, self-improvement, but real self-improvement. Because don't get fooled by the people that are all into posting stuff on Facebook about how you got to be motivated or you got to be positive and stuff like that. Because guess what? That wears off because that's energy-based. But what doesn't wear off is self-perfection because it's a process. And it's a self-honest daily application. That's something that doesn't wear off when it's a real commitment. And so, something to consider because the world's going to keep getting more and more and more and more tough. And it's going to get more divided and more polarized. You look at kids nowadays, they know how to use an iPhone at like 1 or 2. What's the long-term implication of that? Kids right now going to school wearing masks. Like, it's just this normal thing to not hug people, not get close to people, wear a mask because you're afraid you're going to kill somebody. That's now being normalized. What's going to happen in 10, 15, 20 years when these kids grow up and they become our politicians and our lawyers and the people holding society in place? Right? That's why I work every single day on what we do, on common sense solutions so people aren't operating from fear and emotion, rather just common sense. So we can have a world that everyone's going to enjoy being in, where everyone has their needs met. That's what we should be focused on. Instead of, how do we make sure, grandma and grandpa don't get the coronavirus? It's like, don't go cough on your grandma and grandpa, okay? Don't go do that. But should we shut down all of society and restrict everything and then cause massive economic collapse in third world countries where we don't see it and they don't share it on the news here, but it happens because of COVID? Should we let entire industries and the whole middle class be wiped out because of that? No. But what good is it if I'm just making a live stream on it if I'm not willing to go into politics where the real change happens? And that's why we build locally, and that's why we look ahead at the future generations, so that these future generations are aware of what's going on. They have principles, and they're built, they're set up, and they have a vocabulary that gets built up from a young age, so they're equal to where we would say a Bill Gates or a Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk are right now, where that becomes normal. If you don't believe that's possible, then you just haven't understood what TechnoTutor is yet. But that is the new normal, and we're creating that. That's why Jess and I are building here locally, so we can have that type of elite community. But guess what? We're not the elite in the current way that people understand it, because the current elite doesn't care. They literally see themselves as a different species than the average human. But us, and what we're about, is seeing ourselves as real humans who actually care and want what's best for everybody. Instead of a few people at the very top controlling all the resources, living like absolute kings that we can barely even imagine right now what it's like to have palaces and multiple homes and shit like that. So what we're doing is we're making it possible for every person to be at that level of the elite. And that is why you build your community locally. while you find like-minded friends that are into this type of stuff, because that's the world that we can create. But are you going to take responsibility to do it? Yes or no? Something to consider.